Alright, hello everyone, it's Alpha Heavy Gamer. I'm back again with another review, this time on the KF41 LYNX. So I received this vehicle from Gaijin and I was pretty excited to actually get it. I'm a fan of infantry fighting vehicles, and if you want this vehicle yourself, you can find it in the Italian tree in the Hungarian line. Hungary is now a sub-tree of the Italian tree. So, back to the LYNX. The LYNX is the brother to the Puma. According to the manufacturer Rheinmetall, the LYNX is the ultimate future-proof platform, blending unsurpassed protection and massive firepower, and unbeatable mobility in a uniquely modular concept. Well, that's a lot there. That's a pretty high bar. Let's see how this vehicle actually did in War Thunder, though, how it's working out. So if you're looking at the Italian tree, probably one of the most important factors in any vehicle that you want to grind is its firepower. So you'll be happy to know that the KF41 LYNX has the same 30mm gun as the Puma, so the Mark 30-2 ABM or airburst munition. It's stabilized, has a high rate of fire. It's pretty fun to fire the gun, you know, just chuck, get those rounds out there. So if you're not familiar with the Puma, the rounds are the Mark 266 high explosive incendiary, you have the PMC 308 shrapnel round, and you also have your main round, which is the PMC 287. So that's your APFSDS. It has 121mm of pen at 10 meters and 0 degrees angle of attack. Like I've been saying, it's a great gun. You really eat up tanks from the side and you absolutely dominate light vehicles. The commander gets a 12.7mm gun on the top of his sight, and the gunner also gets a coax 7.62mm gun. You also have the Spike LR2. You know, the Spike missile is a 5th generation ATGM. The missile is capable of so much more, but we only get basic functionality in War Thunder. The Spike is great when it works. It's sometimes unreliable just because of the center of mass targeting that it has, like where the missile actually hits when it gets to the vehicle. It also has I think it has a minimum range of 400 meters, so if targets are too close, you're kind of out of luck there. The Spikes are also pretty good at taking out helicopters at low level, you know, either hovering or moving moderately fast. It's pretty funny actually when you just smack them out of the air with the Spike. But overall, the KF41 LYNX has good firepower. The cannon can lack a bit if you get up tiered. I mean, you can see all the way up to 11.7. You only have 2 Spike ATGMs, but I'll talk more about the cons towards the end of the video. Next category up though is optics. So optics are pretty top notch on the LYNX. You have very crisp thermals, very good zoom. The commander also has thermals, so very good there. The commander's sight sits pretty high on the vehicle, so you have a really good vantage point, especially if you're trying to use cover and concealment, or you're just behind like a hill or something. It's really good like that. You also have a lock and lead indicator mode for helicopters and aircraft, so a passive system to lock on to aircraft, which is also pretty fine, especially if you couple that with the airburst munitions. You have a laser rangefinder, which is awesome to have as well. So talking about survivability, so the LYNX has a very novel active protection system which gives you 360-degree coverage. It uses modular panels, which, you know, I suspect are pretty easy to replace once they're used up or damaged, but the system doesn't always work, and it is really only useful against ATGMs and other like, you know, slow moving projectiles. Since the APS is integrated into the side armor panels, it gives pretty adequate protection because it's also coupled with fuel tanks that line themselves on the inner wall of the vehicle. So along the sides of the vehicle, protecting the crew even more are the fuel tanks. Now this is an infantry fighting vehicle, so there is a compartment for infantry to be carried inside, but you know, of course, we don't really have that in War Thunder. So that in itself gives the vehicle even more survivability because there's just a large void back there. So I've been able to tank hits that just, I assume, are passing through the area of the vehicle where there's no crew present, and it's pretty good for survival that way. There's also the driver, which has the transmission to the front of him and the engine to his right side. So although the 2 crew members sitting in the turret, the commander and the gunner, they're kind of exposed, the driver does enjoy a little bit more survivability because he's somewhat protected. The vehicle does come equipped also with a laser warning receiver, and you also have smoke grenades. And you get 20 smoke grenades, so that's plenty, and the dispersion pattern is pretty good. So mobility is pretty good for this 44-ton vehicle. You pack an 1155 horsepower engine, top speed about 75k. Can you get there? Yes, you can. You can get the 75k on uneven terrain. You also have really good reverse speed, up to 32k going backwards, so very mobile vehicle. I haven't really experienced any problems. So how does it all come together? Well, the vehicle is pleasant to play. I like it. I'm glad the Italian tech tree got a nice infantry fighting vehicle by way of Hungary. I think it'll get a lot of people more interested in playing the tree. Alright, so let's look at some pros and cons before I tidy this up. So pros, you do have fire and forget ATGMs, which is a really cool thing to have, especially at 10.7. The spike missile is I think the newest ATGM in the game, technology-wise. It's a 5th generation ATGM, so really good there. You have great optics with good zoom, good crisp thermal sights. You have that passive tracking system, so you can gun down helicopters and aircraft. You have a really good choice of munitions. You have that air burst munition, which is really good, and you have the APF-SDS. You also have a active protection system, which when it works is pretty good. It keeps the vehicle safe. Really good mobility and very good survivability all around. So let's look at the cons of the vehicle. The spikes do have a minimum range, so you have to really be careful. Seemingly anything less than 400 meters and the missile will just miss. There's other issues with the spike. You can't really hold down targets. And also sometimes, just because of the way the targeting works, the center of mass targeting, it doesn't always hit a vulnerable part of the vehicle like the top of the turret. It may just explode on the barrel or hit somewhere in the front of the vehicle, resulting in no damage. You also only get 2 of the spike missiles. At 10.7, I don't think that's so good. You need more ATGMs. 2 is not enough. The launcher on that is always up to, so it's pretty vulnerable, like when you're cresting a ridge or you're trying to just use terrain or use a hill. You have that sticking up and it can be targeted, and your ammunition can be exploded, resulting in a detonation that could harm the crew. Also, the APS system is unreliable. I wouldn't depend on it. And also the vehicle is tall, especially with the commander's independent thermal sight, and then the spike launcher right beside that, sticking up and out on top like that. It just makes the vehicle really tall, and you can be spotted pretty easily. I talked about the BR before. I think the BR seems a little high at 10.7. Even with the spikes and its APS, if you look at a vehicle like the Puma, which is its direct brother, that's at 10.0, and I know that doesn't have spikes, but like I said, you only get 2. I know there was a big controversy about the spike missiles before it was introduced to the game, but it really seemed to be a nothing burger. I don't see anybody really worried about spikes or screaming that they're too strong. So being able to see enemies all the way up to 11.7 is I don't think that's a good deal for the KF41 LYNX. And you also don't have a lineup at 10.7 with the vehicle. I would lower it down to 10.3, maybe 10.0, but we'll see. Maybe Gaijin will change it. When I see vehicles like the STRV 9040 Bill at 10.0 with ATGMs and better rounds, it just makes me question the 10.7 placement. But let me know what you guys think. If you've already grinded out the KF41, let me know what how your player experience is going. And if you liked the video, please hit that thumbs up button. It really helps the channel out. And I'll see you in a future video. Thanks for watching.